Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the stars through the main window. He had been exploring space for 15 years, but the sight still amazed him. The ship moved slowly through the darkness toward a planet that their computers said was dead. "Captain, we are getting strange readings from the planet," said Dr. Lisa Grant. She was the ship's expert on alien life. Her voice sounded excited as she looked at her screen. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. He walked over to look at her. "Computer. Energy signals, sir. Very weak, but they are there. This planet should be completely dead according to our first scans." Lisa pressed some buttons and the screen showed colorful lines moving up and down. These patterns looked like they were made by machines, not nature. Commander Ryan Bell, Jake's second in command, joined them. He was a tall man with gray hair who used to be a soldier. Could it be some kind of trap? Pirates sometimes use dead planets to hide. Jake thought about this. Pirates were always a problem in this part of space, but something felt different about this place. "What do you think, Lisa?" "I don't think it's pirates, sir. These signals are coming from deep underground, very deep, maybe 5 miles down." She pointed to her screen. "And look at this. I'm picking up life signs." "Life signs?" Ryan's eyebrows went up. "On a dead planet?" "That's what the computer says. Very faint, but definitely there. Whatever is down there is alive." Jake made his decision. "Take us into orbit. Full scans of the planet. I want to know everything." The USS Liberty moved closer to the brown and gray planet. It looked like a big rock floating in space. There were no oceans, no green plants, no signs of life on the surface, just dust and old mountains. Engineer Kate Phillips called from her station. "Captain, I'm reading some very old technology down there. Really old, like thousands of years old." "Can you tell what it is?" Jake asked. "Not from up here, but it's big. There are huge structures underground. Cities, maybe." Lisa gasped as she looked at her readings. "Captain, you need to see this. The life signs are getting stronger. There are thousands of them. They're all in the underground areas." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was the kind of discovery that explorers dreamed about. "Prepare a landing team. Lisa, Ryan, Kate, you're with me. Bring everything we need to study alien life." An hour later, their small ship landed on the planet's dusty surface. The air was too thin to breathe, so they wore special suits. Jake looked around at the empty land. It was hard to believe that anything lived here. "The nearest entrance to the underground area is about 2 miles that way," Kate said, pointing to some hills. They walked across the rough ground, their boots leaving prints in the ancient dust. The sun in this system was old and dim, making everything look gray and sad. When they reached the hills, Kate used her tools to find the hidden entrance. "Here it is," she said. "But it's sealed tight. This metal is like nothing I've ever seen." They studied the metal door. It suddenly began to glow with soft blue light. Then it opened without making any sound. "That's not possible," Ryan said, putting his hand on his weapon. "How did it know we were here?" A voice spoke to them, but not with sound. The words appeared in their minds like thoughts that weren't their own. "Please do not be afraid. We have been waiting for someone to find us." Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. "Captain, that was telepathy. Direct mind-to-mind communication." "We mean no harm," Jake said out loud, hoping whoever was speaking could understand. "We know. We have been listening to your people's radio signals for many years. We learned your language. Please come inside. We need your help." The 4 humans looked at each other. This was exactly the kind of situation that could be very dangerous. But Jake had spent his life exploring the unknown. "We're going in," he said. "But we stay together, and we're ready to leave quickly if we need to." They walked through the doorway into a tunnel that glowed with the same soft blue light. The tunnel was smooth and curved, leading down into the planet. As they walked, the air became thicker and easier to breathe through their suits. After walking for 20 minutes, they came to a huge underground space. Jake stopped and stared. It was like a city, but unlike any city he had ever seen. Buildings grew from the ground like tall, thin trees. Bridges made of light connected them in the air. Everything glowed with soft colors, but something was wrong. Many of the lights were dim or broken. Some of the bridge lights flickered and went out as they watched. The city looked sick and dying. "Welcome," said the voice in their minds. "I am Elder Zeph." A figure came toward them from the shadows. Jake tried not to show his surprise. The being was very thin and tall, with skin so pale it was almost see-through. Its eyes were huge and black, taking up most of its face. It moved slowly, like walking was hard work. "You are humans," Elder Zeph said, both in their minds and with a weak voice that sounded like wind. "We have hoped for so long that someone would find us." "Who are you?" Jake asked gently. "What is this place?" "We are the Villani. This was once our greatest city. Now it is our tomb." The alien's big eyes looked very sad. "We are the last of our people. Soon we will all be gone." Lisa stepped forward. "How many of you are left?" "Less than 10,000. Once we numbered in the billions across many worlds, but that was before the Korthak came." Elder Zeph's voice became full of old pain. "They destroyed everything. They hunted us like animals. This planet, Villanos Prime, was our last safe place. We have been hiding here for 200 of your years." "Hiding from what?" Ryan asked, his soldier instincts alert. "The Korthak Dominion. They believe they are the only race that should exist in the galaxy. They destroy all others or make them slaves. We escaped their final attack, but just barely." Jake felt anger grow in his chest. He had seen bullies before, but never on this scale. "Are they still looking for you?" "Yes. Always. They will never stop until every Villani is dead." Elder Zeph moved closer, and Jake could see how weak and sick the alien looked. "Our machines are breaking down. Our people are dying. We have maybe months left before our life support fails completely." Kate was looking around at the dying city with her engineer's eyes. "I might be able to help fix some of your systems." "You would do that?" Elder Zeph's huge eyes got even bigger. "Even though we are strangers? Even though helping us might put you in danger?" Jake didn't need to think about his answer. "That's what humans do. We help people who need help." Elder Zeph made a sound that might have been crying. "We had heard this about your species from your broadcasts, but we thought it might not be true." "It's true," Lisa said softly. "But first we need to understand exactly what's wrong and how we can help." "Yes," Jake said, "and we need to contact our people. If the Korthak are still looking for you, you're going to need more help than 4 humans can give." Elder Zeph nodded, slowly. "There is much to tell you, much you need to know, but first let me show you our people, let you see what the Korthak did to us." As they followed the dying alien deeper into the underground city, Jake made a silent promise. Whatever it took, however dangerous it became, humanity would not let the Villani face extinction alone. It wasn't in human nature to walk away from people who needed help. The discovery that would change everything had begun. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his quarters on the USS Liberty, staring at the message he was about to send to Earth. 3 days had passed since they found the Villani. 3 days of learning about a dying race that needed help desperately. He pressed the send button. The message would take 2 weeks to reach Earth and another 2 weeks for a reply to come back. But the Villani didn't have a month to wait. Dr. Lisa Grant knocked on his door. "Captain, you need to see this." Jake followed her to the medical bay where she had been studying the Villani. Elder Zeph lay on a bed that Kate Phillips had built specially for his thin body. Other Villani sat nearby, their big black eyes watching everything. "I've been examining their biology," Lisa said quietly. "Jake, they're starving. All of them. Their food systems have been failing for years. They're eating maybe half of what they need to survive." Jake looked at the weak aliens. "Can we help them with food?" "Some. But their bodies are very different from ours. Most of our food would make them sick. They need specific nutrients that their own plants used to make." Lisa showed him her computer screen. "The good news is that Kate thinks she can fix their growing systems. The bad news is that it will take months and some of them might not live that long." Elder Zeph's voice whispered in their minds. Please do not worry about us too much. We have accepted our fate long ago. We don't accept it, Jake said firmly. We're going to find a way to help you. Kate Phillips came running into the medical bay. Captain, we have a problem, a big problem. What is it? My sensors just picked up ships jumping out of hyperspace, at the edge of the system. Lots of ships. Kate's face was pale. And Captain, they're not human ships. Jake felt his blood turn cold. Korthak? Has to be. The energy signatures match what Elder Zeph described. Elder Zeph tried to sit up on his bed, his thin body shaking. No, they found us. After all these years, they found us. How many ships? Jake asked Kate. At least 30, maybe more. They're heading this way, but they're moving slowly, like they're scanning every planet as they go. Jake's mind raced. The USS Liberty was just one ship with a crew of 200. They had some weapons, but nothing that could fight 30 enemy ships. How long before they get here? Maybe 6 hours. 8 at the most. Send an emergency message to Earth. Tell them what's happening. Then prepare the ship for immediate departure. Captain, Elder Zeph's mental voice was very weak. Please go. Save yourselves. Do not die for us. Jake knelt beside the alien's bed. We're not leaving you. You must. The Korthak will destroy your ship, kill your people, all for nothing. It won't be for nothing, Jake said. And we're not giving up that easily. 2 hours later, Jake stood on the bridge watching the approaching enemy ships on his screen. The Korthak fleet was huge and dark, like a cloud of metal death moving through space. But something else was happening that gave him hope. Captain, said his communications officer, I'm getting messages from other human ships, lots of them. Jake couldn't believe what he was seeing on his screen. Human ships were jumping out of hyperspace all around the system. Not just a few ships, but dozens of them. Military ships, cargo ships, even some civilian vessels. This is Admiral Susan Hayes of the Earth Fleet, came a voice over the radio. Jake, we got your message. Admiral, how did you get here so fast? My message should have taken 2 weeks to reach Earth. It did. But we had other ships closer than Earth. I've been gathering a fleet for the last week. When we heard about the Filani situation, every captain I talked to volunteered to help. Jake watched more human ships appear on his screen. How many ships do we have? 43 so far. More coming. Admiral Hayes's voice was strong and determined. We're not going to let an entire race die on our watch. On the planet below, the Vilani were gathering in their great underground chamber. Elder Zeph was there, supported by 2 younger Vilani. A female named Lyra was helping translate the ancient Vilani texts that Kate needed to fix their machines. The War. Humans are going to fight for us, Elder Zeph told his people through their mental connection, even though they barely know us, even though it puts them in great danger. An old Vilani male named Chorus spoke up. Why would they do this? What do they gain? Nothing, Elder Zeph replied. They gain nothing except the knowledge that they helped someone who needed help. Young Lyra looked up from the old books she was reading. Elder, I found something. The old defense systems. The ones our ancestors built before the first Korthak attack. They might still work. Elder Zeph's big eyes widened. Those systems have been dead for 2 centuries. Maybe not dead, just sleeping. The human's engineer, Kate, she showed me how to wake up old machines. If we can power the defense systems, we could fight back, Chorus finished. For the first time in 200 years, we could fight back. Above them in space, Admiral Hayes was talking to all the human ship captains. Listen up, everyone. We're about to face an enemy that has been destroying entire races for centuries. They think they're the strongest things in the galaxy. They're about to learn that they never met humans before. Captain Morrison spoke up. Admiral, what's our plan? Simple. We protect those people down there, whatever it takes. The Korthak want to wipe out the Vilani because they think weak races don't deserve to live. We're going to show them that nobody gets to decide who lives and who dies. Dr. Peter Yang, who had arrived on one of the other ships, was already working with Dr. Grant to help the sick Vilani. I've studied the Korthak psychological profiles, he said. They respect only strength. They attack anything they think is weak. Then we'll show them strength, said General Chris Wade, the military commander who had come with the fleet. But not the kind they expect. Ambassador Maria Santos, who would normally try to solve problems with words instead of weapons, was helping coordinate the evacuation of the sickest Villani to the human medical ships. I've tried to make contact with the Korthak fleet, she told Admiral Hayes. They won't even respond to our messages. That tells us everything we need to know about them, the Admiral replied. As the Korthak fleet got closer, something unexpected happened. The planet below began to glow. Ancient Villani defense systems, sleeping for 2 centuries, were waking up. Lyra and Kate had found a way to bring them back to life. Admiral, Jake called from the Liberty. The planet's defense systems are coming online. The Villani are going to help us fight. Elder Zeph's mental voice reached out to all the humans in the system. For 200 years we have hidden. We have run. We have let fear control us, but today, with our human friends beside us, we will fight for our right to exist. On the lead Korthak ship, War Master Koros looked at the gathering human fleet with interest. He had destroyed hundreds of races, conquered thousands of worlds. These humans would be no different. How many human ships? He asked his aide. 43, War Master. Our fleet has 38 ships, but our ships are larger and better armed. And they are fighting for aliens they don't even know. Koros laughed. Stupid. Weak. We will destroy them easily, then finish what we started with the Villani 2 centuries ago. But as the Korthak fleet moved closer, their sensors began picking up the awakening planetary defenses. Ancient weapon systems that had slept since the first Korthak invasion were coming back to life. War Master, the aide said nervously, the planet has active defenses. Strong ones. Koros stopped laughing. Impossible. We destroyed all Villani military systems centuries ago. Apparently not all of them, sir. The War Master stared at the screens, showing the human fleet and the glowing planet. For the first time in his long career of destroying other races, he felt something he didn't recognize. It might have been doubt. In the underground city, Elder Zeph looked at the humans working. Beside his people, Kate was teaching Villani engineers how to repair their machines. Lisa was helping sick Villani get stronger. Jake was planning the defense of a planet that wasn't even his home. Perhaps, Elder Zeph thought to himself, we have finally found the allies we never knew we needed. The battle for Villanos Prime was about to begin. The Korthak fleet moved through space like a wall of dark metal. War Master Koros stood on the bridge of his command ship, looking at the screens that showed the human fleet ahead of him. 43 human ships waited between him and the planet, where the last Villani were hiding. Open a channel to the human fleet, Koros ordered. On the bridge of Admiral Hayes' flagship, the communications officer looked up. Admiral, we're getting a message from the Korthak fleet. Put it on screen. The image of War Master Koros appeared. He was tall and covered in thick armor that looked like it was made from black metal. His face was hidden behind a mask, but his voice was cold and hard. I am War Master Koros of the Korthak Dominion. You are protecting criminals who have hidden from justice for 2 centuries. Move your ships and leave this system. Do this now and we will let you live. Admiral Hayes stepped forward. I am Admiral Susan Hayes of the human fleet. The Villani are under our protection. You will not harm them. Koros laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. You have 43 small ships. We have 38 battle cruisers. Your ships will be destroyed in minutes. Why do you throw away your lives for aliens you do not even know? Because it's the right thing to do, Hayes replied simply. Right? Wrong? These words mean nothing. Only strength matters. The Villani are weak. We are strong. That is why they will die and we will live. You're about to learn something about humans, Admiral Hayes said. We don't abandon people who need help. Ever. Koros cut the connection. On his bridge, he turned to his weapons officer. Destroy them all. The space battle began with a flash of energy weapons lighting up the darkness. The Korthak ships were bigger and had more powerful guns, but the human ships moved faster and worked together like a team. Lieutenant Alex Turner flew his fighter ship between the huge enemy vessels, firing at their weapon systems. He was young and had never been in a real battle before, but he flew like he was born to it. "Turner, watch your six," called his wingman over the radio. A Korthak fighter was chasing him, trying to get a lock on his ship. Alex rolled his fighter hard to the right, then dove under a burning Korthak cruiser. The enemy fighter couldn't follow the tight turn and crashed into the larger ship. "Thanks for the warning," Alex said, sweat running down his face inside his helmet. On the planet below, Sergeant Danny Clark was leading a team of Marines into the underground tunnels. The Korthak had sent ground troops to attack the Volani cities directly. "They're coming through Tunnel 7, reported one of his men. "At least 50 of them." Danny checked his weapon and looked at his squad. They were good soldiers, but they had never fought the Korthak before. "Remember, these guys are tough, but they're not used to enemies who fight back. The Volani have been running for 200 years. We don't run." The first Korthak soldiers came around the corner of the tunnel, wearing armor that made them look like metal monsters. They were bigger than humans and moved with the confidence of warriors who had never lost a battle. Danny and his Marines opened fire. The tunnel filled with light and noise as energy weapons fired back and forth. 2 of Danny's men were hit in the first few seconds, but they kept fighting. "Chief Ross," Danny yelled into his radio. "We need medical help in Tunnel 7. "Chief." Medical Officer Emma Ross was already on her way, carrying her medical kit and running through the underground city. She had been treating wounded humans and Volani all morning, and there were more casualties coming in every minute. "On my way, Danny," she called back. "Try not to get shot before I get there." Above ground, the space battle was getting worse for the humans. 3 human ships had been destroyed and several others were badly damaged. The Korthak ships kept pushing forward, getting closer to the planet. On the USS Liberty, Captain Jake Morrison watched his navigation officer, Sam Mitchell, try to keep their damaged ship fighting. "Sam, can you give me one more attack run?" "The engines are at 60%, Captain. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 5, but she'll hold together for one more pass." Jake nodded. "Take us in." The Liberty flew straight at the nearest Korthak cruiser, firing everything it had. The enemy ship fired back, and the Liberty shook as energy blasts hit its shields. In the underground city, young Lyra was working with Kate Phillips to bring more of the ancient defense systems online. The old Volani technology was strange and complicated, but Kate was starting to understand it. "There," Kate said, connecting 2 glowing cables. "Try it now." Lyra placed her hands on a crystal panel that pulsed with soft light. Her big eyes closed as she connected her mind to the ancient machine. Suddenly, the ground shook. Far above them, huge energy cannons that had been hidden under the planet's surface for centuries began to rise up. The cannons were as big as buildings and glowed with the same blue light as the Volani cities. "It's working," Lyra said, her mental voice excited. "The planetary defense grid is coming online." Elder Zeph, who was still weak but insisted on helping, reached out with his mind to contact all the Volani in the city. "My people, for the first time in 2 centuries, we fight back. Not alone, but with friends who came from the stars to help us." The ancient cannons began to fire. Beams of blue energy shot up from the planet's surface, hitting the Korthak ships. The enemy vessels, which had been winning the battle just moments before, suddenly found themselves under attack from below. "What is that?" War Master Koros demanded as his ship rocked from a direct hit. "Planetary defense systems, War Master. But they should be destroyed. We destroyed them centuries ago." "Obviously, we did not destroy them all," Koros snarled. "Focus. All fire on those cannons. Destroy them now." But the cannons were protected by the same shields that protected the underground cities. The Korthak weapons barely scratched them. In space, Admiral Hayes saw her chance. "All ships, attack now." While they're distracted by the planetary defenses, the human fleet charged forward. Lieutenant Turner led his fighters in a desperate attack on the Korthak command ship. Sergeant Clark and his Marines held the underground tunnels. Chief Ross saved lives under fire. Captain Morrison pushed his damaged ship into battle one more time. The tide of battle was turning, but it was still not enough. There were too many Korthak ships and more were arriving every hour. War Master Koros was getting angry. His fleet, which had never lost a battle, was being stopped by a few dozen human ships and some old cannons. "Prepare the planet killer," he ordered. His officers looked scared. "War Master, that weapon will destroy the entire planet. Everything on it will die." "Good. If we cannot take the Villani alive, we will make sure they die, and the humans will learn what happens to those who defy the Korthak dominion." On the planet, Elder Zeph suddenly felt a terrible fear through his telepathic connection to his people. Something is wrong. The Korthak are planning something terrible. Kate looked up from the machine she was repairing. "What kind of terrible?" "Do not know. But I feel great danger coming. Danger to everyone on this planet." In space, the sensors on the human ships began to detect a massive energy buildup on the Korthak command ship. Admiral Hayes watched the readings with growing horror. "My God," she whispered. "They're charging a planet-killer weapon." Captain Morrison's voice came over the radio. "Admiral, if that thing fires, everyone on the planet dies. Humans and Villani, both." "I know, Jake, but how do we stop it? We can't get close enough to their command ship. They have too many escorts." On his fighter, Lieutenant Turner heard the conversation. He looked at his fuel gauge and weapon status. He had just enough for one more attack, one very dangerous attack. "Admiral, this is Turner. I have an idea." "Go ahead, Lieutenant." "What if one ship could get through their defenses? What if someone could hit that weapon before it fires?" Admiral Hayes understood what he was suggesting. "Alex, that would be suicide. You'd never make it out alive." "Maybe not, ma'am. But if I don't, try everyone dies anyway." In the underground city, the Villani and humans worked together to save as many lives as possible. Dr. Grant helped Elder Zeph move the weakest Villani to the deepest, safest parts of the city. Kate and Lyra brought more defense systems online. Sergeant Clark's Marines held the tunnels against more Korthak ground troops. The planet-killer weapon was almost ready to fire. Time was running out for everyone on Villanos Prime. Lieutenant Alex Turner gripped the controls of his fighter ship as he watched the Korthak command ship charging its planet-killer weapon. The massive gun was glowing brighter every second, building up enough energy to destroy everything on Villanos Prime. "Turner, don't do this," Admiral Hayes said over the radio. "There has to be another way." "Admiral, that weapon fires in 3 minutes. My fighter is the only ship small enough to get through their defenses." Alex looked at the picture of his family taped to his control panel. "Tell my mom I was thinking about her." "Alex, wait," came Captain Morrison's voice. "I'm coming with you." "Captain, the Liberty is too big. They'll shoot you down before you get close." "Maybe. But you'll need cover fire to reach that ship. I'm not letting you go alone." On the bridge of the USS Liberty, Jake Morrison looked at his crew. Half of them were wounded. The ship was falling apart around them, but they were still fighting. "Kate, how much power do we have left?" he asked. Engineer Kate Phillips looked at her screens with tired eyes. "Enough for one more attack run, Captain, but the engines are barely holding together, and the shields are down to 15%. That's all we need. Take us toward the Korthak command ship." "Sir," said Commander Ryan Bell, "if we do this, we might not make it back." Jake thought about the Villani children he had seen in the underground city. He thought about Elder Zeph and young Lyra, and all the people who were counting on them. Then we better make it count. Down in the underground city, Elder Zeph suddenly felt a wave of determination and sadness from the humans above. Through his telepathic abilities, he could sense what they were planning. "No," he whispered, his voice shaking. "They are going to sacrifice themselves for us." Dr. Lisa Grant was helping injured Villani when she heard Elder Zeph's words. "What do you mean?" "The humans in space. They are planning to stop the great weapon, but they will die doing it." Elder Zeph's big eyes filled with tears. "After 200 years of running and hiding, strangers are willing to die so we can live." Lyra looked up from the defense system she was working on with Kate's instructions. "Elder, the planetary cannons are almost at full power. If the humans can damage that ship, maybe our weapons can finish it." But the cost, Elder Zeph said softly. So many good people. In space, Alex Turner's fighter ship raced toward the Korthak fleet. Behind him, the damaged USS Liberty followed, firing at any enemy ship that tried to stop them. The Liberty was hit again and again, pieces of its hull flying off into space. "Kate, I need more speed," Jake called out as another blast rocked the ship. "I'm giving you everything we have, Captain, but the engines are overheating. If I push them any harder, they might explode." "Do it anyway." Kate's hands flew over her controls, pushing the ship's engines beyond their safety limits. The Liberty shot forward like a bullet, catching up to Alex's fighter. War Master Koros watched the two human ships racing toward him. Fools. They think they can stop us with one broken ship and a fighter. Destroy them. Every Korthak ship turned its weapons on the Liberty and Alex's fighter. Space filled with energy blasts as the enemy fleet fired everything it had at the two small human ships. The Liberty's remaining shields failed completely. Energy blasts tore through its hull, causing explosions throughout the ship. But Jake kept flying toward the command ship. "Hull breach on deck 6, someone yelled. "Life support failing on deck 3. "Keep us together, Kate," Jake said calmly. "Just a little longer." Alex's fighter was hit in the wing, sending it spinning out of control. For a moment it looked like he would crash into a piece of space debris. But Alex was a good pilot. He regained control and kept flying toward the D command ship. "Almost there," he said over the radio. "The weapon is at 90% charge." On the planet below, Chief Medical Officer Emma Ross was treating wounded Marines in Tunnel 7 when the ground began to shake. The ancient Villani defense systems were powering up to their maximum level. "What's happening?" asked Sergeant Danny Clark, who was sitting nearby with a bandaged arm. "The planetary cannons are getting ready to fire everything they have," Emma said, looking up at the ceiling as dust fell around them. "But they need a target." Back in space, the USS Liberty finally reached the Korthak command ship. The big enemy vessel was so close that Jake could see the details of its black armor through his bridge window. "Kate, prepare to ram their weapon system." "Captain, if we hit them at this speed, the explosion will destroy both ships." "I know." Jake looked around at his bridge crew. "Anyone who wants to leave, get to the escape pods now." Nobody moved. "We're staying with you, Captain," Ryan Bell said, "all the way." Kate wiped tears from her eyes and kept her hands on the engine controls. "Ram speed ready, sir." Alex Turner's fighter reached the command ship first. He fired his last missiles at the planet killer weapon, causing small explosions on its surface. But the weapon was too big, too strong. His missiles barely scratched it. "It's not enough," he said over the radio. "The weapon is still charging." That's when the USS Liberty arrived. The damaged human ship, flying at full speed, crashed directly into the planet killer weapon. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from the planet's surface. Both ships, human and Korthak, were torn apart by the blast. But in that moment of destruction, something amazing happened. Elder Zeph, feeling the sacrifice of the humans, reached out with his mind to every Villani on the planet. "Now, my people, for our fallen friends, fire everything." The ancient planetary defense cannons, powered by the combined mental energy of every Villani, fired all at once. Dozens of blue energy beams shot up from the planet's surface, all aimed at the Korthak command ship. The enemy vessel, already damaged by the Liberty's sacrifice, could not survive the attack. War Master Koros had just enough time to see his ship falling apart around him before everything went dark. In the underground city, everyone waited in silence. The ground had stopped shaking. The cannons had fired their shot, but nobody knew if it had worked. Then Lyra's voice, filled with wonder, echoed in everyone's mind. "The command ship is gone. The weapon is destroyed. We did it." Elder Zeph felt a mixture of joy and terrible sadness. But at such a cost. On the surface, rescue ships from the human fleet were searching for survivors from the Liberty. Most of the crew had been lost in the explosion, but a few escape pods had made it away from the ship before the crash. "This is Rescue Ship Delta 7, came a voice over the radio. "We found something. 2 life pods still intact." Dr. Grant, who had come up from the underground city, felt her heart jump. Who's inside? Checking now. It's Captain Morrison and Engineer Phillips. They're alive, but hurt badly. Jake Morrison opened his eyes in the medical bay of a rescue ship. His body hurt everywhere and he could barely move, but he was alive. Kate Phillips was in the bed next to him, unconscious but breathing. "Captain," said Dr. Grant, who was standing beside his bed. "You did it. The Korthak command ship is destroyed." "Alex?" Jake asked weakly. "Lieutenant Turner?" Dr. Grant's face became sad. "He didn't make it out, sir. His fighter was destroyed in the explosion." Jake closed his eyes. Another good person gone. Another life lost to save others. "But sir," Dr. Grant continued, "the Korthak fleet is retreating. Without their leader, they're running away. The Volani are safe." Through the ship's window, Jake could see the surviving Korthak ships jumping into hyperspace, fleeing the system as fast as they could. For the first time in centuries, they had been defeated. On the planet below, Elder Zeph stood in the great chamber of the underground city, surrounded by his people. For the first time in 200 years, the Volani were not hiding. They were not running. They were free, but the freedom had come at a terrible price. Good humans had died to save them. People who barely knew them had given their lives so the Volani could live. "We will remember them," Elder Zeph said to his people. "For as long as the Volani exist, we will remember the humans who saved us." The battle for Volanos Prime was over, but the real work was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the battle for Velanos Prime. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral, stood in the rebuilt great chamber of the underground city. But it was no longer just underground. The Volani had opened their city to the surface for the first time in 2 centuries. Sunlight streamed down through crystal windows that Kate Phillips had helped design. The old engineer, still recovering from her injuries, had worked with Volani builders to create something amazing. The city now reached both below and above ground, a symbol of a people no longer hiding. "It's beautiful," said Dr. Lisa Grant, who now served as the head of the new Interspecies Council. She was watching Volani children play in gardens that grew both human and alien plants. Elder Zeph, looking much healthier than he had 6 months ago, walked up to them. The good food and medicine that the humans had brought had helped all the Volani grow stronger. "Dr. Grant, the food systems you helped us build are working perfectly. For the first time in decades, none of our people are hungry." Elder Zeph's mental voice was warm with gratitude. "We learned as much from you as you did from us," Lisa replied. "Your growing methods are amazing. We're already using them on 3 human colonies." Ambassador Maria Santos joined the group, carrying a data pad with important news. "Admiral Morrison, I just received word from Earth. The Alliance Council has approved our proposal. We're officially establishing the Human Volani Defense Force." Jake smiled. It had taken months of meetings and negotiations, but finally both species had agreed to work together permanently. "What about the other races we've contacted? The Zephyrians from the Andros system want to join. So do the peaceful builders from Beta Prime. They've all had problems with the Korthak Dominion." Maria looked at her data pad. "We're not just helping the Volani anymore. We're building something bigger." Commander Ryan Bell, now captain of the new starship Unity, walked into the chamber. The Unity was the first ship built by both humans and Volani working together. It was beautiful and powerful, combining the best of both technologies. "Admiral, we just received a distress call. It's from a system about 50 light-years from here. A race called the Korvani are being attacked by Korthak forces." Elder Zeph's large eyes became sad. "The Korvani were our friends long ago, before the Korthak destroyed our first worlds. If they still exist, we must help them." Jake nodded. "How long to get there?" "With the new Volani hyperspace technology, about 6 hours, Ryan replied. Dr. Peter Yang, who had been studying Korthak behavior, looked concerned. "Admiral, this could be a trap. The Korthak have been trying to find out where their command ship was destroyed. If we show up to help the Korvani, they'll know we were involved in their defeat." "Then they'll know," Jake said simply. "We didn't save the Volani just to hide when other people need help." Young Lyra, who was now studying at the Human Space Academy, came running into the chamber. She had grown taller and stronger over the past 6 months, and her large eyes sparkled with intelligence. "Admiral Morrison, I just finished translating the old Villani star charts. I found something important." She activated a holographic display that showed a map of local space. "Look at this. The Korthak have been attacking these systems in a pattern. They're not just conquering randomly. They're looking for something." Kate Phillips, walking slowly but steadily with her new mechanical leg, studied the star map. "What kind of something?" "Ancient Villani technology. Before our people were scattered, we built great machines on many worlds. Machines that could defend entire star systems. The Korthak are trying to find and destroy them before other races can use them." Elder Zeph moved closer to the hologram. "The Forge worlds. I thought they were just legends." "Not legends," Lyra said excitedly. "Real places, and some of them might still work. If we could reach them before the Korthak do, we could give every oppressed race in the galaxy a way to fight back." Jake finished. Chief Medical Officer Emma Ross, who now ran medical operations for the entire Alliance, looked up from the wounded Villani soldier she was treating. "Admiral, if we're going to help the Corvani and search for these Forge worlds, we'll need more ships and more people." "The Zephyrians have offered to send 20 ships," Ambassador Santos said. "The peaceful builders don't have a military, but they're excellent engineers. They can help build defenses." General Chris Wade, who commanded the Alliance military forces, studied the tactical situation. "We'll need to be smart about this. The Korthak Dominion has thousands of ships across hundreds of worlds. We can't fight them all at once." "We don't need to fight them all," Elder Zeph said. "We just need to show other races that the Korthak can be defeated. Once people see that, they'll start fighting back on their own." Dr. Yang nodded. "It's psychological warfare. The Korthak rule through fear. If we can break that fear, their empire will start falling apart." Sergeant Danny Clark, now Major Clark, entered the chamber with a group of both human and Villani soldiers. Over the past months, they had been training together, learning to fight as one unit. "Admiral, the joint forces are ready for deployment. Humans and Villani fighting side by side, just like we practiced." Jake looked around at all the faces in the chamber, humans and Villani, working together, planning to help people they had never met. 6 months ago, the Villani had been a dying race hiding underground. Now they were partners in something much bigger. "All right, everyone, we have work to do." Jake activated the communication system that connected him to ships throughout the star system. "This is Admiral Morrison to all Alliance vessels. We have received a distress call from the Corvani people. They're under attack by Korthak forces, just like the Villani were 6 months ago." Throughout the fleet, human and Villani crew members listened to his words. 6 months ago, we learned something important. We learned that no race should face extinction alone. We learned that when good people work together, they can overcome any enemy. Today, we're going to teach the Korthak that lesson again. Captain Bell's voice came over the radio from the Unity. "All ships report ready for hyperspace, Admiral." "Then let's go save some people," Jake said. The Alliance fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading toward the Corvani system. But they weren't just going to fight one battle. They were beginning a war to free every oppressed race in the galaxy. In the months that followed, the Human-Villani alliance grew into something amazing. The Corvani were saved and joined the alliance. The first, Forge World, was found and reactivated, giving the alliance powerful new weapons. More races joined the fight against the Korthak Dominion. Elder Zeph, now serving as the Alliance Council's wisdom keeper, often thought about how much had changed. His people had gone from hiding in underground cities to helping liberate entire star systems. All because a group of humans had decided that helping strangers was more important than staying safe. Dr. Grant's cultural exchange programs meant that human children learned Villani telepathy, while Villani students studied human engineering. Kate Phillips designed ships that combined the best ideas from a dozen different races. Ambassador Santos negotiated treaties that brought more and more worlds into the alliance. The war against the Korthak Dominion would take years. There would be many battles, many losses, many victories. But the alliance grew stronger every day, because it was built on something the Korthok could never understand. It was built on the idea that different races could work together, that helping others made you stronger, not weaker, that the best way to protect your own people was to protect everyone. And at the center of it all were the humans, the crazy species that had traveled across space to save people they didn't know, and the Villani, the forgotten race that had found new purpose in helping others. Together, they were changing the galaxy, one rescued race at a time. The Villani would never be forgotten again, and the universe would never be the same.